G'day and welcome to Surfing Life TV. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'm Ray from Surfing Life, and this episode we have none other than Brad Gerlach. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How you been?
Good. Yeah.
Surfing?
A little bit. I've had a bit of a knee injury that has kept me out, but you know, one of my teachers, the greatest teacher of my life, one of them, told me that whenever you have an injury, you can make that injury your best friend, and that through that injury you find and learn things that you would never have learned if you hadn't had the injury. So I've been treating it like that. And
That's a good way to think about things.
To answer your question, I haven't been surfing physically, but I've been surfing a lot mentally.
There you go, mind surfing.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't mind a bit of that.
Yeah.
I think as the older you get, the more mind surfing you do. Certainly when it gets over 6 foot, you spend more time mind surfing then, don't you?
Yeah, who was I talking with? I was talking with Drew Adler earlier today, and telling him about some of those big, those big toe-in waves, and saying, I'm sort of glad that I don't have to ride big waves anymore for a living, because I'd have to ride those things. But then again, when you have to ride them, you get in the zone, and you feel these high speeds and these incredible sensations. And I definitely mind surf those giant waves, and I can remember how my board felt and how fast I was going, and how little pressure you put on the surfboard when you're going really, really fast. Amazing. But the pressure has to be precise, because if it isn't, you see some of the guys surfing these big waves. There's one in particular that was like 2 or 3 years ago from Chopu, and this guy you can see that he doesn't have the skill, and he comes down and he just goes, and he digs rail in a place that, a more experienced surfer would not, and goes over the falls, and it looks like he's going to die. It's like it's irresponsible to be. I wouldn't like to be towing a person like that into a wave of that kind of consequence.
Yeah, it seems like that some of those guys have got the bravery without the skill.
Well, that's why
you got a bunch of guys with the skill that might not necessarily be that brave.
But you would think that would be a historic. That would be from the beginning of man.
Yeah,
you're right. I just some men are that way, and you're like, hey, send Bill in to get the beast.
He'll do it.
He'll do it. Hey, he actually did it. You're like, it's not that.
Or he did it, but he still survived. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of, but. We are a bit, at least hopefully a bit more awake now. And I mean, to drive somebody into, a wave like that, I would think you'd want to have a lot of confidence that the person's gonna,
But
like
Nathan. I'm with you. Nathan. I think irresponsible sometimes, maybe.
Yeah, I think like Nathan Fletcher, for instance, that giant wave that he's in the tube on, and that thing that's on the cover, and it's insane, right? Well, he's in there, and he lifts his board up and actually turns it in a possible make situation, because he's so talented. So that's exciting. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the brainless, skillless macho going for it and just getting destroyed. I prefer, like you, to see that skill, and that excites me more. That makes me go, let's see that guy again.
Yeah. Well, some of the feelings that I felt on some waves that I would not have been able to paddle into were just exquisite. I've snowboarded. I'm not that great at snowboarding, but it feels a bit like that. However, it's just, there's a whole different, you've got to take all that speed, then you got to turn that, and you got to turn back up the mountain, you know what I mean, and position yourself in such a way, whereas snowboarding's more just, more down,
Snowboarding is just the art of slowing down.
Yeah. You aren't transferring your energy into. Some of those guys are doing some insane stuff.
I love snowboarding. I'm by no means debasing snowboarding. I absolutely love it. One of my favorite things to do. Also not that good at it. However, there's something about riding on the energy of the ocean, which you don't get in the mountain. You are going down an amazing mountain. There's an energy there, but it's not a moving, living.
Yeah, it's a gravity.
It's gravity.
Yeah.
You have gravity with surfing as well, but it's there's something about that energy, and you're matching your energy as best you can to it, and that exchange takes it to a whole new level. In my opinion, it's the only sport on the planet that you are riding an energy source. Maybe windsurfing or hang gliding when they're in eddies and stuff, then I can see it. Even though you can't see it, but you know what I'm saying. But the riding that energy is, there's an exchange of energies there that's just next level, really.
No, it's a lifelong journey of discovery and excitement and joy and frustration and
and it changes with age, I think. When you're young, you're frothing, you're doing everything, and then you get a bit older, you charge and stuff, and it can just shift and change and grow with you as a person and as an athlete, if you are an athlete. But you don't even have to be an athlete. That's the whole beauty of surfing.
I think it's also too a bit of a equalizer in a way.
I love it.
In the fact that you're like, you look at it and you go, I haven't been surfing that much. It does that, and other people are like, man, it looks so fun out there, and you're like, I haven't been surfing that much. That does, I don't know if I can handle a wipeout, or looks like pretty nuts if I get stuck inside. As you're getting older, the duck diving and all those types of things. So you kind of go, I need to get myself, ready for this, which is the motivation to do it. It's that it
I think
motivates
the motivation
you
to keep yourself healthy and fit as well.
For sure.
And that's amazing. And speaking of equalizers, I like the fact that you can be sitting in the water and there can be a billionaire sitting next to you, but you wouldn't know. Yeah. Because you can't buy a Maserati surfboard. I mean, you can buy pretty flash surfboards, but the guy can't. The most expensive wetsuit, most people can buy. The most expensive surfboard, most people can buy. So you can't actually elevate yourself above everyone else with your money. You can only do it by your effort and your skill, and that I love.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I often think, man, I'm so lucky. I learned to surf when I was a kid, and that I never knew that I'd still be surfing, and not just still be surfing. I'd still be like super passionate about it, and connected to it, and connected to a sort of global community at large with a somewhat of a like-minded appreciation of the ocean and its mystery and unknown.
Let's not, before we get too far down that road, while we're still in the surfboard space, you brought a bit of a magic carpet in, one of your favourite boards. I want to know about this. I want to know why you bought this board in for us to talk about. So let's grab that over. Look at this thing. Did you get this off the Ark? Nah, it's not that old.
Off Noah's Ark?
Yeah.
This is my 1991. I won the Gunston on it, and I just did like a big. I got third in the OP Pro. I did a big floater on it that a lot of people remember. That actually the floater wasn't. I wasn't trying to do a floater. Actually, it turned into a floater that I didn't make, but people happen to remember it. I think.
Isn't it funny how sometimes the things you don't make are sometimes more memorable than the make, because it's like, what the hell just happened?
I think probably what people enjoyed about it was pretty big Huntington Beach, and in order to get up onto the lip, I had to bottom turn mid-face, and with it being really steep, the bottom turn, it was a place when you bottom turn in a steep part of the wave, it's really easy to spin out, tip over, all that stuff. And I knew how to sit down and get really close to my heel side edge and punch the board in the water so that I could get up the wave on here. And this board is 18 1/4, 6'3", 2.5. And it's got like it's got a pretty thin, like the nose is like the model that's just before it has more. The one I won, I won 2 months or three months earlier. I won at the Classic in Narrabeen. It's thicker in the nose. It's got more. It's got more beef here. So he already refined this one. And this thing was so magic. I wish I would have ridden this in Europe because I got a red board that was the same size. I got 2 red boards. One that was a little one that was amazing. It was a 511 for little waves, and another one that was a copy of this. And they worked so good. I was like, I'll just ride the red one. It's newer, And I should have stuck onto. Right. I should have run that red one in the practice, and then stuck on this one. And that's the beauty of hindsight, and why I feel I am. I'm a good teacher and a coach and an advisor because of those. They seem like little decisions, but they're massive in result. In the wash up. Because I lost a heat to Bainey in the quarters in England on that red board, and I think if I ridden this one, I would have surfed just a little bit better because it was a very close heat. There was just a couple things, but this thing was like it felt like right here. This was like a
V bottom, huh?
Yeah. It's got concave.
Okay.
Yep, it's got concave, and right here felt like if you were standing on a ball joint, you could it would go like this really. It would go like this really well, but then when I put my front foot down, it would go. Whoa!
Okay.
So I could go like that, when you go to your shaper,
you do the sound effects when you do it on the way.
I'll keep doing sound effects. It's the description of the surfer, and so the thing is that is when you're telling your shaper, hey, can you make it loose and fast? That's what this was. Right. Loose and so fast.
Because that's the perfect combo. To get that perfect combo is something else, huh?
Yeah, and then you got like the
plenty of volume in it too, which I like.
Well, there was, but then you got that like the narrowness of the tail. You see how tight, narrow that is.
Yeah.
So this thing was. And it's got a really, really sharp edge, like real sharp edge that Xanadu was really on top of.
Almost an Australian back edge.
Well, he spent some time, Xanadu spent some time over here with Bill Cilia, I think, and he had shaped over here for a bit. So he was influenced by Australia and America. But Xanadu's an absolute genius. Like, he is a
Look how far
legit.
That edge goes up. It goes all the way, almost halfway up the board.
Because
now edges come. They've rolled them to here. So that edge, they'll have something to do with why it did what it did.
So that having the edge up here is speed. Right. This will keep the board from sinking and down in the water. And but you're looking at this is 18 1/4. Right, so you're going to play, like if this was, with this kind of edge, if this was 19 1/4, which is what I ride now, 19 1/4, 19 1/2, and it had this kind of edge, it'd be very hard to sink it if you got up to speed.
Yeah.
So you're going so fast, but then you got the narrowness, so it would go rail to rail really quickly, and also stay out of the water and not bog down in the water. It would stay out of the water, and then I knew, and I still know actually, I know how to sink. I know how to sink the rail in, and so it. So that's where that's the beauty of progressing. The better you get, the more higher, the more technical and refined your surfboards can be, And so I think it'd be pretty hard for me to ride this now.
I was going to say you're not going to get it scanned and recreated.
No, I just, this is so narrow right here. I was surfing 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Like everything was just like so tuned and so tuned. I'm lucky if I get one surf every
couple of days.
You know what I mean? So it's just a different. It's like a Formula One race car. It's just, you barely touch the accelerator. You know what I mean?
Love it. Well, thanks for bringing that in, man.
Sure.
It's so good. Really appreciate it. Let's just lay it down there. That's fine.
Okay.
Now, let's get on to what you're doing these days, because as you say, you're just as passionate now as you've always been. And I believe, and I know we've spoken obviously, so I'm not going to act like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I know you're doing some training. I know a bit about it, but let's get into why you've designed this program. The program is called Wave Key. You're wearing the shirt, and I love that. Get the brand out there. It's beautiful. Why Wave Key? Where did it come from? What was the brainchild, or how did that all fire up for you?
Well, I mean, the origin of it is of my own inability to consistently surf well. So it's just like, I'm just like, why can I not surf as good as, basically Tom Curran? You know, what like he's, some days it felt like back in the day I could take it to him, and other days I'm like, why am I even a professional surfer? Like, I suck so bad.
But anyone who knows your surfing knows that, like, from when you were on tour, it was just all feeling and emotion, and that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It was raw, and I think that's why I believe you had or have as many fans as you do, because they went, just love how raw it is. I love it. It's not so, and they're current lovers, and then there were lovers of guys like yourself. It was that Matt Hoy, even Oki. There's that raw, creative. And that was it. Yeah. It wasn't refined. It wasn't Tom Carroll who'd spent 6 months straight surfing nothing but knee-high grovel because he knew the whole tour was pretty much in that rubbish. I mean, imagine what Carroll could have done in the modern tour. Brilliant waves. And even guys like Gary Elkerton, it would have been a completely different story. But I think that's what people loved about your surfing, is that animal, raw. Martin Potter, he's similar in that sort of space, is always, just go nuts, forget about the score. And that's kind of, I mean, obviously this is something that you're trying to overachieve as you're training other professionals. Then you can't, this is not how to win a competition, it's just to be all raw without.
I think that rawness is a personal expression, and I think when you look at, if you take music as a discipline, you learn things with music. You learn what the rules are, and then once you learn the rules, you end up, you break the rules, you mix the rules, you say fuck you to the rules, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And those are those crazy artists that you really love, Kurt Cobain and and Jimi Hendrix, and they're just and so with surfing, I think it's like that now, except that there wasn't an understanding of what do you do with your body when you bottom turn. To do a consistently well-timed bottom turn, what do you do with your body? Just bend your legs. You got to get down low. Well, not necessarily. You can do a soul arch bottom turn. You're not that low on a soul arch bottom turn. There's just different. It's what you do with. So you learn how to bottom turn. You learn how to top turn. And what's in a top turn? Like, what, you just throw it up there and hope for the best? Your chances of making it are just so little.
Of course.
And then and that's kind of the idea. Throw it up there, see what you get, and so.
So give me.
So that's where I was going to with this. Is that by understanding what your body needs to do to be able to do a good bottom turn, whether it's frontside or backside, and that's just the bottom turn. You can't just say, oh, this is how you do every bottom turn, because you're looking at a 2-foot wave, a 6-foot wave, a backwashy wave, a point wave, a big wave, a wave with devil wind on it, offshore. There's just so many different types of lumps, bumps, all this different stuff. But there is something you do with your body to consistently make this bottom turn, to be able to control the surfboard and go where you want to go. Right? So raw, not raw, whatever it is, if you can go, I want to go over there, and you can do it. And then you add your personal expression into that, and that's what I see. Sort of someone like Dane being able to do is, she's a personal, like, he's got so much raw in his surfing, but he's able to go, I want to go over there. So when you look at the way he surfs, I can tell you why he's able to just do this without digging rail and going over and doing it. And bottom turning is so easy. It's so easy to dig rail, bottom turning.
Sure, yeah.
But usually there's like when you dig rail, there's a reason.
Yeah,
and that reason has to do with how you organize your body over the surfboard at each moment, like in the bottom turn, what you do prior to the bottom turn. What do you do prior to the bottom turn? And then what do you do after the bottom turn? In between the top turn and in between the bottom turn. What's going on with your body there? Do you know what I mean? So that's
Absolutely.
what I do. That's what I do in wave K. I show you that what has to happen when you, let's say it's a front side bottom turn, you're on your toe side rail, right? You're going up to do a top turn. There's a point where the toe side rail shifts to the heel side rail, and then you do the top turn. You can't do the top turn unless you get onto your heel side rail, right? A front side top turn, whether you're goofy or natural, it doesn't matter. You have to be on your heels in order to do that top turn. So what happens, what is it that you can do with your body that would put you in the optimum position of leverage and power so you can deliver that top turn without excessive force, without looking ugly, you know what I mean? Without being late, without forcing it, all these types of things. I go through all that with Wave Key so that you can intellectually at first understand it and go, oh.
Because that's generally something with surfing. You don't actually, you often can't understand it.
Well, no one's explained it though.
Because they haven't explained it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and a lot of people try to explain it to you and go, well, you need to, and you're like going, what does that even mean?
No, totally.
So it's great that you've got something that...
Well, it's first you understand it intellectually, because I can show you, a half a dozen examples, all that come from the 70s, like Mark Richards, Tom Curran, Kelly Slater, Dane Reynolds, John, Ethan Ewing, or whatever, right? A span of high performance guys from 70s to now, and they all do the same thing with different anatomies. Different types of body, but the same thing needs to happen for you to get into that optimum position prior to the turn. Because if you don't get into a good position prior to the turn, then you might have to force things. You might have to, you're going to play catch up. And when you're playing catch up, there's a couple of things that can happen. You can hurt yourself. You could tweak something. You could miss. You could miss the wave. You could go out the back of the wave. You could put yourself behind so you don't make the next thing. There's so many things like that. So ultimately, what you want to, and so I show you that in Wave Key, and then you look at it, and if you don't understand it and you don't agree, great, bring it on. But usually people see it and go, okay, I can see the similarity of that, okay, well, cool. Now that I know that, I'll see you later. I'm going to go try it in surfing. And you go, wait a second.
Yeah, righto. That's what we all want to do, rush out.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a second. Practice it on the floor.
So is it more of a body mechanics, put the body mechanics first before the surfing type of thing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
because you go and you often go to.
It's beyond
coaching,
body mechanics. It's beyond body mechanics. Body mechanics limits it, right? In a way, it's more of it's awareness.
Sure.
It's because you don't see yourself when you're surfing. You don't know what you look like, and oftentimes when you do see yourself on video, you go, "Huh? Oh my God." Man, it felt a lot better than that. You know what I mean? And
it's lucky we do it for the feeling generally. Most of us.
No, you definitely want to do it for the feeling. But I'll tell you what, if it looks good, if it feels good, it usually looks good. Yeah. But maybe not. Maybe not, because things that I thought looked good when I was younger, prior to videoing, stuff like that, when I saw them, I didn't like them. And other things that I did that I didn't even have any awareness around looked good, and I'm like, I don't even remember doing that. And that threw a ton of spray, like, where? And fortunately, I had a dad who was a Olympic athlete in an artistic sport that told me, you need to know what you look. You need to know.
It was high diving, wasn't it?
Diving, yeah.
Diving,
you
yeah.
need to know what looks good.
Yeah.
And what looks good has to feel good.
Yeah.
And then you can start. And basically, what he's saying is basically you need to be aware. But in
It's
diving,
kind of got to be a combo, doesn't it? Then,
pardon me?
It's kind of got to be a combo. It has to be both look good and feel good. If you can get that combination, then your surfing is just
the
going
look good thing is the whole secondary. Don't even worry
Sure.
about it. Don't even, that's just a byproduct. You'll look good
If you're doing it right.
at some point, but don't concentrate on that because that'll get in the way. So it's about feeling.
Yeah.
So you understand it intellectually. A bottom turn, for instance, if you're going down to do a bottom turn, and I'll try to stay in this little zone here, but if you go down to a bottom turn and you tip yourself this way slightly and you hit a bump, you're going to lose speed. But if you go down to the bottom, go down in a bottom turn and you go a little lower straight down like that, and you hit a bump, you'll just go over the bump and you won't get going through it. It's
shock
in
absorber.
tube
Yeah,
riding.
right.
It's in tube riding, and that's just a very basic right there. But it goes into cutbacks, and so much has to do with where your head is. And if your head is if you're leaning back away from the power even an inch, you compound that you compound that all the way down to your feet, and you're way off. And you don't realize that you're way off, and you're only an inch off of this way.
Yeah.
And then it dominoes from there. And then and this was going back to why some days I would surf super well and other days I wouldn't surf super well, is because I was leaning. I was leaning this way, and then I was leaning that way, and then I was leaning this way, and I was leaning that way. And when my timing was on and I was on, I could I could break the rules and lean over, and then timing was good, so I could lean back this way just in time. But Tom never leans, so he was able to find his timing every surf all the time, and that's why he can ride all these different types of surfboards, including a skimboard. You know what I mean? And people are like, you can ride anything because of this. So I put all of that information in WaveKey and help people become more body aware so that they can control the surfboard.
I have a question for you. Are you more passionate about what you're doing with WaveKey now than when you were actually on tour?
Yeah, for sure.
There's like this. There seems to be this passion, and I find personally, anyone I meet with a passion at that level, what they're going to do is going to be excellent. That's my belief. Passion and excellence, I believe, generally come hand in hand because they're so driven and so passionate about it that what they are achieving is excellence. And it feels to me that you're, as I said, and you said, yes, you're more passionate about this than you were even competing.
Oh, I mean, I just think that I'm a better teacher than I am a surfer, and
well, that's saying something because you're a bloody good surfer.
Thanks. I think my gift is to help people.
Awesome.
And I've got a sense of humor.
Yeah, I've never
Not everybody gets, but no, I use that part of it to keep it light and fun, you know, and keep good perspective. So I usually make people feel good, and I don't go into, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, and this wrong, and man, you got a long way to go. I don't do any of that horse shit. I pretty much go, here's all you need to do. You just need to do this little thing right here, and we just move the needle a little bit.
Baby steps.
And then the person comes back and goes, man, and typically, what I hear from, I train good surfers. Surfers have been surfing all their life and, maybe surfing 25 years and they're good. And I hear they come back to me and say, I hear this a lot. Man, I did the best turn of my life.
Yeah,
and yesterday after, the session, and they're usually quite humble and say, I did the best turn of my life. It probably looked totally crap, but it felt like one of the best. And I go, that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah,
You're the one who's getting the joy out of it. So if you feel that, then that's a total triumph.
Yeah.
And so in the sense, I feel like I'm a gifted teacher, and I've been so interested in exploring life from a young age. I wanted to learn lots of things from lots of different areas, and oftentimes would think to myself, like, why am I so interested in why? What am I going to do with this? And then when I met my teacher who passed away last year, her name's Laura McCormick. She was a ballet dancer and a Feldenkrais practitioner and a Sedona method practitioner and a a sculptor and a musician, and a 5th degree black belt in Aikido, and I mean, just a funny, hilarious woman who was in her late 60s, and she could climb trees and she is just amazing. When I started talking with her about how I'm enjoying, because I started seeing her in 2005, and then I started teaching in about 2009, and she's like, yeah, teaching's one of the most creative things you can do. And just the words creative, and I was like, oh, I like creative.
It struck a chord with you.
Because I want to do new things all the time.
Yeah.
So she just totally helped me become a teacher. And then I was like, well, that's why I'm so interested in that, because I can take all this stuff and help somebody. And that's really rewarding to me.
Absolutely. So Wavekey, is it completely online? Is it one-on-one? How is it set up for people who are maybe interested after?
Sure. I have a fundamentals 1 and 2 course, which covers a takeoff, a bottom turn, a top turn, a cutback, a tube ride, a floater, and a basic air. There's 7 forms, and then there's another 7 that are backside. So the backside isn't the same as the front side, so there's 14 forms. But I teach both goofy foot and natural foot, so there's actually 28 forms.
Right.
So when you get through the entire course, you can do it switch foot, and so it ends up sophisticating your nervous system and teaching you things. There's parts of your brain that you don't use that are sort of unsullied in a way, and you go, okay, well, I'm used to doing a top turn. Oh, I always do it this way, and then you go, oh, well, I've never really done one goofy foot, so let's see, I'll teach myself, with all my new knowledge, I'll teach myself how to do it, and then you go, wow, it's kind of easier for me to turn myself this way, and I'm not used to it, so you become your own teacher in a way, and you make Wavekey your own. So it's not so much about, in the beginning, you learn and you sort of copy the forms until you get them, and then you add in your own awareness and your own visualization based on where you surf every day or where you like to surf. You can pick I'd like to surf J Bay. So you watch some videos of J Bay and you go, looks like everybody's getting 6 turns on those waves, some of them longer, some of them, okay, cool. I'm going to design my own, my own wave from J Bay, and then you put yourself in that zone, and if you saw me doing it in the park, you'd think, is that guy doing Tai Chi? But then if you surfed, you go, man, that looks a lot like surfing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you go, wait a second, but it moves slow like that, because the slow movement is how your brain captures your body sort of has to move in symphony to really perform at a high level. So if you do this too fast, sometimes you can't quite capture where the weight is on your feet.
Sure.
And the only thing that attaches you to the surfboard is the bottom of your feet. So there is a ton of awareness in Wavekey about where is your weight on your feet. Do you want to put more? Do you want to put less? But then it goes beyond the body mechanics, because you start talking, it's hydrodynamics. It's like, how much pressure do you want to put into this rail turn? There's not that much power in the wave. It's a soft kind of wave. If you bury the rail too much, you're going to slow down. If you want to slow down, bury the rail. Sometimes you want to slow down because you're going too fast. Slow down, bury the rail, park it, get tubed. Sometimes you don't want to slow down because you need to do the carve, then you need to come out of the carve, go into a floater, and make the next section. It's just this. It's this intellectual conversation about about all the different types of pressures and situations. It's really quite endless. But I would have to say that the last point would be, not the last point, but probably something that would make sense is surfers talk about, even as I'm sitting here, I'm talking about using my hands, make a floater and do the thing, tube, and people are using their hands. Wavekey is a way of learning from a more experienced surfer. Like for instance, if I could sit with, John, He goes, so what are you doing like at Chopu when you get really deep in there and there's a foam ball, you know, and you find yourself, you know, traveling down towards a shock wave, or Kelly, for instance, whatever. And instead of him going, well, I just do this with my board and I move, you know, and kind of go like that, you know, he'd go, okay, well, just, and I could say, just take me through one of the waves that you made that you didn't think you were going to make.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, I went down and I had the weight and I went, and I pulled forward, and then I pulled up, and then I could feel myself getting sucked up too high, so I sucked down closer to the surfboard so I would, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you're able to use WaveKey as a language for higher level surfers, whether that's just the intermediate guy helping the beginner, or it goes all the way up. And that's what I'm doing for my students. Taro Watanabe and Noah Hill are two of my top level students, and they're blowing people away. But I know when I'm teaching them, I've felt those things before. Sure. So I'm able to go, yeah, like right here, right there, right there, right there. And even some things that I haven't done before, I can feel them, so I know what the person's doing, you know, and I'm able to translate it from there to there. But that kind of, WaveKey is kind of somewhat of a language, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating.
It's super fun.
Let's get involved. I want to have you go.
It's not about it's not about me too. It's like I teach this to others, and then usually each one of the students I work with teaches me stuff back.
Sure.
And also I'm looking forward to bringing it more to other surfers around the world to collaborate, talk about their experience, especially at like a specialty wave.
Yeah.
Right? So if you had somebody who'd been doing WaveKey for a super long time and they surf ship sterns, and you go, okay, cool, I want to go surf ship sterns. I need to go talk to that guy and train with him for a week before I even go to ship sterns.
Yeah.
And then there's no swell right now, but there's one coming in a week, or it's the season, so I'm just going to train with this guy, get myself body ready and all this stuff ready, and then, hey, today's the day. You're not just going in there like, well, I hope. You're going in there like, you know, I'm ready. I'm ready. So that's
fortune favors the prepared.
Definitely.
And key stands for?
Key stands for life, energy. To me, like key is the energy in the wave, you know, and also the energy within you.
Yeah, right.
And so you are connecting your energy with the wave in a sort of a way to like, you know, when you tune your guitar, it's like blah blah blah, it goes blah 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 woo, and then you're in tune. And so you're doing that with your own energy and the wave's energy, and that's how you quiet your mind, because you get into a feeling space and you can feel it. And there's so much going on that words are too slow.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, put my arm here and, you know, do this and do that and do this, and it's too slow. It's almost, I'm sure.
Muscle memory.
It's not muscle memory. That's the thing. The muscle memory will get you in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Because you're memorizing. And so WaveKey's not about memorizing the WaveKey forms. You do the WaveKey forms to make them a part of you, so you can act instinctually. Okay. So you can sometimes proact. You can feel something coming and you can proact. You don't even have to look. If you watch Tommy Curran surf, he doesn't look at the wave constantly. He doesn't just stare at the wave. He'll look down and look away. He'll look right in front of him for a little bit, and the wave will be carrying on here. But he already looked before, so he has a sense of the wave. Wave's not going to just all of a sudden change.
Sure.
Unless it hits, obviously, some rock that was underwater he didn't see, and it was the first time he ever surfed it, or whatever. But, you know, you look and you go, okay, I know what the wave's doing. I don't need to see it. I want to just slow down and be in time with the wave. And also it brings a freshness to the surfer as well as the spectator, because the spectator doesn't know what you're going to do next if you're not staring at it. Yeah. There's just so much to talk about in it, you know, but yeah.
So, Brad, that's been amazing, man, talking to you a lot. Listen, we could talk forever. I'm sure we're well out of time. Thanks for bringing your board in. That was fantastic. I love those trips down memory lane with beautiful pieces of equipment that just take us into that space straight away. But for coming in, we have sponsors that look after us so we can do these shows. We've got a couple of little gifts for you.
Ah, nice.
The first one here I'd love to give you is a Wear It surf watch.
No way.
Proper.
Wow, cool. I have no excuses with my wife.
You'll be on time now.
Yeah, I'll be on time.
So that one hooks up to your smartphone. Then the app hooks up to Magic Seaweed, and it gives you your swell heights and directions and wind, and so it's a pretty cool. And in an analog design is really nice because most surf watches or tide watches are all digital, and they look a bit.
They look like. Like what do you got your heat coming up? Like,
And we talked about beautiful design in surfboards. I think it's a beautiful design in a surf watch.
It looks nice. It looks nice. Yeah, thanks so much.
There's the box for that one. Now here's some surfboard racks. Now you've got your classic board. You might want to hang it up like we've got them hung up here.
Those look pretty small.
Well, look, there you go. That's how they work. It's pretty amazing, huh?
I mean, that's really good. That's a really good idea. I mean, how small they are. I know.
Now, here's a free subscription to Fuel TV.
Okay.
So you can hook in and watch that anytime you want. Stubby cooler from Surfing Life. That's always needed in Queensland. Here's Beyond Blazing Boards. I don't know whether you're in it, but you'll love that era.
Oh, man, cool.
And, of course, latest issue of Surfing Life.
Oh, righty, yeah.
Thanks. Of course you do.
Oh, psyched. I knew Chris. Chris Bystrom. He's from San Diego, and I might be in this thing.
I think it was the one.
But even if I'm not, I'm just
still
like so
banging,
psyched to see everybody surfing back then.
And also from Narwhal, the same as these racks. Here's a drying rack for your wetsuits and stuff. So it's just all modular, and you pop it on the wall, and
oh, really?
That's for you as well.
Killing it. When can I come back on the TV show?
Just wait till we get different sponsors, otherwise you get too much of the same thing.
Yeah.
Mate,
thanks so much.
Thanks for coming on. Actually, we've even got a tote bag from Fuel TV to put all your kit in. There you go.
Nice. There you go. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. I love being able to talk about surfing. I love surfing so much, and I have so many friends. I owe surfing so much because I've got so many friends around the world that I love with all my heart, and I'd love to share going surfing with them. And it's been tough with this COVID thing and then not being able to travel. I sure hope we can travel soon, and
not long, I reckon.
We can get out there. I like to bring Wave Key around the world. I expected that I'd be journeying with it and turning people on and stuff like that. So I hope I can do that. Yeah.
We're close to it. Brad, thanks for coming on. Guys, thanks for watching, and tune in again next time.